Peace, family. Y'all know who it is. It's Dr. Bakar K. Lumumba of LumumbaSpeaks.com. Back once again with a great show in conjunction, of course, with Lumumba Speaks. I'm sorry, Bequaline Network, the Pan African social media extraordinaire and the home of African centered news and information. Please forgive me, family. It's been a long day. But we have a great show, of course, here at LumumbaSpeaks.com. We believe we could gain a competitive advantage by always betting on Black. And we have a great show at the behest of the viewers yesterday who asked for me to do a show regarding hip hop, rap, no longer questioning that hip hop and rap is no longer economically viable or relevant due to not having a song in the top 40 for the first time since 1990. And that is when the late, great Biz Markie, who was known as the Crown Prince of a Crown Joker, I'm sorry, of hip hop. Right, so we're talking about Biz Markie. He was the Clown Prince. Yeah, Biz Markie. He was known as the Clown Prince of hip hop. Of Clown Prince of hip hop. His hit single, "Just a Friend," dropped to number 41. So once again, fam, the link will be in it. The link is in the description. Make sure that you hit the link in the chat momentarily and we can have a conversation. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to start off by reading an actual article from vice.com regarding hip hop no longer being in the top 40, and then we can get the conversation started. I'm going to put the link in the chat while I am prepping to read the article, and then we will go from there. So give me 1 second, family. Hip hop is not in the top 40. All right. Okay. All right. So as you can see here, Vice.com. Hip hop isn't in the top 40 for the first time since 1990, and that might be a good thing. So just tap in and find out why they think that may be a good thing. Hip hop is going to be fine. Lately, fans have been going through an existential crisis over the state of the genre and culture. For the first time since February 1990, there are no rap songs in the top 40 of Billboard's Hot 100. On its face, this is alarming. For 35 years, rap has proven genuinely viable as a form of pop culture. Back in the 90s, it worked in conjunction with R&B as how people assessed Black culture. Then eventually, the pendulum switched. Hip hop became the predominant form of pop culture. Sure, the seasons change every once in a while, but artists like Drake or Future or Lil Wayne or Kanye West were good to keep rap in the foreground as new interests emerged. Now, after all these years, it can't even crack the top 40. Prophecies of a death like jazz and rock felt imminent to a lot of people. Fingers were pointed at the lack of stars, the beef between Drake and Kendrick Lamar, anything to find a culprit for why hip hop still isn't at its peak. Here's the thing, rap is going to be fine. We've seen the hip hop is dead rhetoric dozens of times, especially from the purists of the world. Hell, Nas was one of the leaders in parodying the idea back in 2006. This isn't the first time the diagnosis has been sprung upon the culture, but something drastic would have to happen to truly kill this art form we love. Hip hop is experiencing a shift that pop and country have gone through before. Here's the thing, it's honestly more impressive that rap has maintained its spot at the top of this for this long. Pop and country have gone out of vogue several times in culture. For pop, it would frequently latch onto whatever was raking in the dough the most, put a fresh coat of the pop sheen on it, and it would satisfy itself. Even made due to the early 2010s when strange indie hits were captivating people the most. Commercialism was always the key to pop surviving, even if it didn't look or sound like Max Martin. As long as it could reasonably be sold, pop could stick. Country music is the most striking comparison to what hip hop is going through. Country has lamented its death since at least the 60s. Traditionalists claim Nashville sold out all the time. Hank Williams, the Highwaymen, this is a constant. In the 80s, the country was too sappy. In the 90s, it was too shiny. But now people look at 90s country as a golden age, where they raked in the most money and balanced commercial music with its initial roots. If these artists complained in the 70s, imagine how they feel about the carnival in post 9/11 patriotism. The genre was convulsing. But after a decade plus of being a mere blip on the pop culture radar, it shares a space with hip hop again. Country's biggest artist, Morgan Wallen, loves pairing up with a rapper, Big X the Plug, made a whole album of country crossovers. And he's one of the biggest rappers in the world. Country is far too popular and still rigorously maintaining its roots too much to truly be dead. Critique it as you may, but rap has done the same. In assigning a death sentence to rap music, we also overlook the current state of music as a whole. Even to devout chart followers, Billboard's Hot 100 makes absolutely zero sense. Kate Bush proved that songs can emerge from internet virality and soundtracks despite being released decades ago. Miguel's Sure Thing was released in 2010 and had a significant run on the charts. Moreover, since the COVID pandemic, records are sticking around on charts far longer than they used to. Blinding Lights stuck around for years, became the longest charting song in the top 10 ever. Sometimes, records are inclined to stick around on the charts for a full calendar year before eventually petering out. This week, Mutt by Leon Thomas has peaked at number 10 after lingering on the charts for 38 weeks. What a hit means in 2025 is radically different than our innate understanding. Naturally, hip-hop is going to feel the effects of this. Consequently, popular music doesn't have much of an identity at all. Sure, Taylor Swift still has dominant real estate, but the feeling is even different there. Her last album, Tortured Poets Department, hasn't stuck with anyone besides her immediate fan base. The rest of the top 10 feels increasingly random. Number 2 is from a K-pop Netflix movie, K-pop Demon Hunters. Number 3 is from Alex Warren, an artist who seemingly appeared out of thin air that's just kind of stuck around accordingly. Is he a pop star? I guess not. Technically, but it doesn't feel right. And I'm not sure how many people actually know who Olivia Dean is, but they know Man I Need. Hip hop isn't dying, it's just refreshing. These genres all seem to be struggling to understand music habits in today's landscape. Frankly, country seems like the only genre that has a firm idea of who its premier artists are. Pop has cultivated its new crop of stars, but they also can't quite control the randomness of these charts either. Meanwhile, hip-hop aggressively holds onto the stars that they know. It worked out in 2024 when Kendrick Lamar spent his days beating on Drake, but it was a band-aid. Currently, the highest charting rap song is Young Boy Never Broke Again. The artist and industry has been extremely hesitant to touch, but these other hits sound exceptionally stale otherwise. Could hip-hop use a new influx of stars? Absolutely. It would be Door if the 2020s were defined by a lot of familiar faces from the 2010s. But hip-hop can never truly die when the culture of it still holds weight. It can never truly die when it still has its role in the predominant form in which Black artists create. It can never truly die without a replacement. The worst could happen is that it shares its space rather than outright holding the throne. This isn't necessarily a bad thing. Every piece of media has experienced its turbulence after COVID. It makes sense that hip-hop would need a refresh. Rap has rested on its laurels as the dominant pop culture juggernaut, has become preoccupied with commercialism rather than the art form. The right balance would restore the culture in a way that would allow a rejuvenated push back to the top. There's not a lack of options either. Scour the scenes for who is doing new, compelling ideas. Look for its eccentricities, the things that make you feel a little uncomfortable. Embrace the regional flair, the fact that different cities can do different things stylistically. This is what makes hip-hop exciting. These are the qualities that create the future. Young Thug, Drake, Kendrick Lamar, and Chief Keef. These are the artists who have spawned countless offspring and variations on their creativity. What's beautiful about hip-hop is that it was always on the cutting edge. Poptivism tends to be the leading factor in genre death, waxing to the point where it lacks distinction. If anything, the exclusive focus on commercialization is certainly what has dulled the genre and culture. But because hip-hop is an active culture that still receives proper care, it cannot die. What will kill rap is a lack of imagination and a ready replacement so culture vampires can leech off more Black art. Until the underground crumbles and doesn't care about the art, rap will only go through the natural ebbs and flows that come with being a popular genre. So family, that is the article in Vice. Artificial intelligence will be the next hip hop star. Interesting. So why do you say that? I would definitely want to hear, why do you believe that that is the case? Why artificial intelligence will become the next hip hop star? So I guess the real question, family, is hip hop dead? Right? I think to go back and revisit that question that was promoted by Nas in 2006 when he dropped his album, Hip Hop is Dead. It's 19 years later. And so the question that I have, of course, when he was speaking about hip hop being dead, he was speaking to the lack of the art form, right? Historically, when we talk about hip hop, there was a focus on lyricism, right? A focus on creativity, a focus on storytelling, right? The ability to rap on command, extemporaneously in front of a crowd that allowed you to hold the honored moniker of being an MC. He argued for many individuals, they want actual artists, they want MCs. Right? We saw this. Many people critiqued hip hop during that era, similar to the way disco was critiqued: cheap beats, a lack of imagination, originality, and a lack of lyricism. Right? Many people argue that this was an attack on Southern hip hop or punk music, etc. But be that as it may, that was an argument regarding that the art form was dying rather than the genre of music itself. This is an argument where many are arguing that there is the genre is transitioning in a manner that is representative of the fact that it may fade into oblivion. So family, tap in. The link is in the description. Link is in the chat. This is not as provocative or emotionally charged or politically charged conversation that we typically have here at Lumumba Speaks and People on Network. But I think it's just as important, right? We do know, and maybe I would veggie back on what we discussed yesterday when we talk about the FBA, ADOS Brigade, some of these surface level arguments that they make is regarding who created hip hop. But I've always stated that what's most important is who controls it, right? And so that's a conversation we need to have: is who controls hip hop rather than who created it or the viability of it. Because hip hop more than likely will remain and won't die, but it means nothing if we aren't able to control that industry, right? So tap in, family. Link is in the description. Link is in the chat. Would love to hear from you all. Get your thoughts on this topic, this subject matter. As we are really asking the question: is hip hop dead? Is hip hop rap no longer economically viable due to not having a song in the top 10? Top 40. The last song that was in the top 40 of the Billboard 100 was Kendrick Lamar's collaboration with SZA. And that was the song Luther, where they, of course, was sampling one of Luther Vandross's, the late, great Luther Vandross, one of his hit records, right? If This World Was Mine, right? So tap in, family. Link is in the description. Link is in the chat. Also want to make you all aware of tomorrow, unfortunately, will be the 110th anniversary of the passing of one Booker T. Washington. Booker T. Washington, so we're talking about the Wizard of Tuskegee, Booker Telefario Washington. As we know, he was famous for creating Tuskegee University, not creating, but building Tuskegee University up. Of course, he was, at the time of his death, the most powerful African-American in the United States. And of course, he wrote several books, particularly his canonical text, Up From Slavery. If you haven't read Up From Slavery, family, make sure that you do. I've read Up From Slavery. I have a copy. And of course, it was written in 1901. And we know that Du Bois, he wrote, but many people argue, was his ideological rebuttal in 1903, which was, of course, Souls of Black Folk. But definitely canonical text in African-American literature. But once again, family, we're discussing, is hip hop dead? I want to hear from you all. Is hip hop dead? Is hip hop no longer economically viable? As I stated before, we know almost 20 years ago, the question was, is hip hop dead? And that was really challenging or discussing the dissolution of the art form, right? Particularly lyricism, storytelling, the actual ability to rap extemporaneously and be an MC. This, of course, was championed and many argue led by what many people would argue the greatest rapper of all time. That is, of course, Nas. Nasir, Nas Escobar, Nostradamus, right? He's had a number of names, right? Godson, etc., right? But today we're really discussing the economic viability of hip hop and rap. So, of course, I was able to share with you all that article from Vice.com. But want to hear from you all. What are your thoughts, particularly because, of course, some sisters, particularly on the channel yesterday, requested that I did a show on this particular topic. So I want to hear from you all regarding, is hip hop dead? Is it no longer economically viable? The link is in the description. The link is in the chat. Tap in and be part of the conversation. You're watching LumumbaSpeaks.com, a Black empowerment initiative where we believe we could gain a competitive advantage by always betting on Black, in conjunction, family, in conjunction with Equaline Network, the Pan-African social media extraordinaire, and the home of African-centered news and information. So tap in, family, be part of the conversation. We want to hear from you. Keyword, we want to hear from YOU. Is hip hop dead? Is hip hop no longer economically relevant? And if this is the case, what do we do about a musical genre that was created by the first generation of African people in America who did not live under de facto segregation, right? And I'm citing the work of Neil Irving Painters in her book, Creating Black Americans, right? She's a former professor of African American Studies and African American History at Princeton University, if I remember correctly. And of course, her book, of course, which is over 20 years old now, was Creating Black Americans. So I definitely want to hear from you all. But yes, she discussed in the text that hip hop was a musical genre created by the first generation of Africans living in America who did not suffer, lived under de facto Jim Crow, right? So we're talking about, of course, August 1973, the South Bronx. Of course, DJ Kool Herc created that back to school block party, held out back to school block party, and hip hop, what we now know and call hip hop, was born, right? So tap in, family. The link is in the description. The link is in the chat. Definitely want to hear from you all regarding the provocative and evocative question: is hip hop dead? So put a 1 in the chat, family, if you believe hip hop is dead. Put a 2 in the chat if you believe hip hop is not dead. So once again, put a 1 in the chat if you believe hip hop is dead. Put a 2 in the chat if you do not believe hip hop is dead. So once again, family, put a 1 in the chat if you believe hip hop is dead. Put a 2 in the chat if you do not believe that hip hop is dead. 1 for yes, 2 for no. Definitely want to hear from you all. You're watching, of course, themobilespeaks.com in conjunction with Equaline Network, the Pan-African social media extraordinaire, and the home of African-centered news and information. And as stated before, family, tomorrow, unfortunately, is the 110th anniversary of the passing, transitioning of one Booker T. Washington to the ancestral realm. So, and we do know that on November 15th, that Kwame Ture, born Stokely Carmichael, we know the Trinidadian born, Bronx, New York raised, Howard University educated, honorary Prime Minister of the Black Panther Party, Kwame Ture, born Stokely Carmichael, he transitioned after his battle with cancer in Conakry, Guinea, November 15th, 1998. And of course, he was of the belief that he would contract the cancer as due to the, of course, machinations of imperial powers in the West, right, and their allies. So definitely want to give thanks to those two ancestors. Mr. Sandman, what's the word?
Yeah, what's the word?
Well, we know the word, brother, is that The Ohio State University is still the #1 team in the country.
Yeah, that's what I heard. Yeah, they still number one.
Still #1.
Yeah, that must be a down year for the NCAA football to allow this Ohio State team to be #1 for this alone.
Wow, you throwing shade now. Well, brother, it's not a down year. Look, it's just that the college football is following its natural order, and the natural order is that The Ohio State University, located in Columbus, Ohio, in the great state of Ohio, always leads the way.
Yes. Does Ohio State even have any top 10 picks in the draft coming up this year?
Absolutely. We have 3 players in the top 15, and that is, of course, Arvell Reese, Caleb Downs, and Cornell Tate.
Oh, okay. My bad then.
I mean, I get it. And we're about to set a record 14 straight years with a first-round draft pick. Only Miami and Alabama have had that many first-round draft picks in a row.
Okay. No, those guys that you mentioned, they're coming out in 2026.
Yeah, they're coming out after this season. Absolutely.
Oh, okay, yeah. So they projected to be top 15. All right, 3 top.
Yeah, and then we have to talk about, of course, Sonny Styles, who's a linebacker. He's projected to be a first-round draft pick as well. So we had the most first-round draft picks last year, and then we may have the most first-round draft picks this year as well. Because you have to understand, at The Ohio State University, brother Sandman, we don't rebuild, we reload, because there's no safety on this Glock.
Wow. Well, yeah, but what they shooting at ain't nothing out in Ohio. Ohio.
I'm
They shoot
sorry.
at. Ain't nothing to shoot at out in Ohio.
Okay, well, yeah,
Or
guess what?
in the Big Ten.
But you know what? Guess what? But that's why that's why we become made men in the playoffs. You make your bones in the playoffs. Am I right or wrong?
Yeah, yeah. Well,
So I mean, so all I'm saying is my brother from the Keystone State.
yes,
That's
that's
cool.
right.
And you right. We ain't got nothing to shoot at because Penn State ain't nothing. Because Michigan ain't nothing. Because Oregon ain't nothing. And we gonna pull that Indiana ain't nothing when we see them and see them in Indianapolis. See, we're gonna smack around in Indy. That's how we do. We go to your house. We put our feet up on your crib. You know what I mean? And then we handle our BI. That's what we do. But that's neither here nor there. Talk to me, brother. What are your thoughts? Is hip hop dead? Is hip hop no longer economically viable?
Yeah, I was. It's looking like that way that it's not economically viable because prior in prior years, artists, they used to get robbed by a lot of these major labels,
Yes,
and
yes,
they
they
used to put them in these 360 deals where they weren't making a lot of money, but considering where they were coming from, a lot of the people, you know, a lot of these rap artists coming from, disenfranchised areas that just signing a deal is enough to just, give them an opportunity to try to make something out of things, and then, to take their popularity and their fame and use that to market themselves in other ways to make money. But the way the game's going now is like these people aren't signing these 360 deals, it looks like. Or if they do sign a 360 deal, if they do sign a deal with a major label, the money that they used to make on touring and stuff like that just isn't there like it used to be. And just the whole entire economy is like people aren't spending money like they used to. Just everything's so expensive. So if you want
right,
to go on a rock concert, I mean a rap concert to see your favorite, artists, you know what I
right.
mean, and you have to pay, hundreds of dollars just to see, a concert. And I don't know, it's like you're weighing the pros and the cons of that. So yeah, I think it's just certain niche artists who can maintain in the down slope of the economy, plus the way things are changing and the dynamics of the music business in and of itself, But yeah, I was saying before that, I'll be listening. Sometimes you be watching them. AI be making music now. Like if you go on YouTube, right, they'll take like an old song
Right,
and remix it, and you know, and make it sound like a totally new genre.
right.
So I mean, I don't know if like artificial intelligence will ever have the soul and the rhythm and the creative intelligence of a human being, but it looks like it's good at emulating human beings' creativity. So yeah, it's like it could be like a artificial intelligence be the next artist to come on the building. I don't know. Maybe they can, because I see them like making videos of like old artists like Tupac Shakur, who's to say that they just can't bring these artists back like a Tupac, like a Biggie Smalls. You know
Right.
what I mean? And
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I know they released like a song with Tank and Aaliyah.
mm,
Yeah, so that kind of speaks to what you're talking about. And a lot of people were complaining about the sound quality wasn't the best. But yeah, that would be an example directly of what you're speaking to. Let me ask you this. What are some things, and I'm asking this question, but I'm glad that you tapped in because we know that you are a former or maybe even still an MC, correct?
yeah. I guess you're born one and you die one.
Absolutely, absolutely. Always one, right? And so many would
Yeah.
argue that this would be an African American equivalent of being a griot, right? In West
Mhm.
Africa. We talk about this concept of storytelling. What could an artist do to try to circumvent the structural issues that you just explained or talked about?
Man, I mean, if I was a young person, trying to navigate myself in the music business today, and I was trying to make a name for myself. I would try to I would try to do it, through social media,
Okay.
but I would have to like probably do it in a fashion where you just get a video to go viral, and once you get that video to go viral, then you would add your other talents to your audience. So once you
Right.
go viral, then they know your name, and then once they know your name, and they see you're marketable. Like if it could be like a comedic a video, then you take that and then you start adding music to your brand. Yeah, I think you just have to be like you have to be more than just an artist. You have to be like a cash cow. You have to
Right.
be someone that can just a whole circus all by yourself. You know what I'm saying? Kind of like a Drewski or something like that, or a hmm, who's that guy who used to be on Living Color, who did that acting job of Ray Charles. I forgot his name. Jamie
I,
Foxx.
okay. Oh yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, Jamie, yeah, Jamie Foxx, Jamie Foxx. Good, great
yeah,
job.
yeah. You had to be like you'd have to be multifaceted in that,
Hmm.
you know. And then once you create that image and that brand, then you can attach your music to it. Once you grab your audience.
Right.
Yeah, but the days of just coming on the scene from just rapping or just using your skills as a rapper, I don't know. I don't think that's there anymore.
Right. And I think that's a great point because Cameron, we all know Cameron, Killer Cam, right? Um, Big fan of Cameron, particularly when he was in his heyday, and he was with Epic Records, right? And he talked about how he really wasn't being paid much, and so he actually came to Ohio and started selling, blow.
Mm,
Dame Dash was able to get him out of that contract, bring him to Rockefeller, and made him a millionaire, right?
mm,
So is what you speak to that a lot of times individuals don't understand that oftentimes when you have a record deal you may simply be as what 50 Cent called a disgruntled employee, right?
okay.
So as Nas said, when he was with Columbia Records, he said he was a Columbia Record slave, so get paid, right?
Mm,
Something to consider, family. But once again, family, the link is in the description, link is in the chat. Tap in, be part of the conversation. We're discussing, is hip hop dead? Is hip hop no longer economically relevant or viable due to no longer being in the top 40 of the Billboard 100? This is the first time that a hip hop song has not been in the top 40 of the Billboard Top 100 since January of 1990, when the late great Biz Markie, known as the Clown Prince of hip hop, hit record "Just a Friend" dropped to number 41. So I was 6 years old at the time, right? So long time, long history. But tap in, family. Definitely want to hear from you all regarding this topic and subject matter, particularly because, of course, the sisters on the channel yesterday requested that we actually do a show on this topic. Big up to you both. Appreciation. Tap in, be part of the conversation. Would love to hear what you got to say, brother. Would love to hear what you got to say. Mr. Sandman.
yeah. Hmm. I mean,
So let me ask
yeah.
you, because I mean you're from Philly, you're from the Illadells. Some people call it, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, right?
Uh,
Um, but I do know there's a very strong independent black music culture and industry in Philadelphia. Please correct me if I'm wrong.
yeah, I would say so. I would say that's correct. Yeah, there's a
So
lot of
how
like
are brothers and sisters in Philadelphia responding to this issue?
hey, it's like it's a young man's game, the whole rap game. You know what I'm saying? A lot of these young artists, they like that trap music, and then the trap music game. A lot of these young artists, they're trying to actually bring the streets into the music, and you're seeing a lot of young artists, killing each other out there. There's been, as a matter of fact, there was a one positive rap artist from Philadelphia, North Philadelphia, not too far away from where I was from, who was murdered,
Mm,
just earlier this year over, what seemed like something trivial. I think he just had like some jewelry on. They stole it from him and killed him.
Mm,
So these young people, they're talking about the rap music in their music, and then they're going out there and actually doing it.
right.
And you're seeing them get more and more explicit about it. Being disrespectful of people, other deceased people, more
Mhm.
disrespectful of people, family, bringing all kinds of I don't know. They taking like stuff that's going on and on social media and bringing it to the street. So I don't know. It's just it don't even seem like it's even cool to me. Seem like it's a bugged out a bugged out culture. I don't understand the whole. I don't understand the point. I mean, I recall when we were coming up, like music was an opportunity to get away from the streets. It seems like they're using the music. They're bringing the streets to the music. I don't know. It just seems misguided. Maybe they need like more mature people to manage them. Because I think maybe because they're so independent, and you're a young person and you still got an immature mind, you know what I'm saying, and you're dealing with all kinds of money, and you're not dealing with a management team that can pull you aside, be like, hey, chill, you tripping doing this, you tripping doing that. They ain't got that. They straight independent, and they're not moving like a business person should, and that's probably the benefit of um working with a label, because a record label might assign you a management team that's gonna keep you on the straight and narrow for the most part, so that you can stay economically viable to the business.
Right, right. Absolutely. So at LEYRTP says that is a serious statement in the situation of hip hop not making the top 40, especially with hip hop reaching the 50 years milestone. Right? Well, yeah, and that's something to consider. In the article I read on Vice.com, they argue that most musical genres go through ebbs and flows, right? So it's something to consider there. But yeah, I would agree with you, but Mr. Sandman. Typically, what takes place is they have that team with you because the goal is simply for you to remain economically viable. They've made an investment; they want to make sure that they get a return on their investment. So,
Right? Yeah, you're supposed to have bodyguards around you. They're supposed to keep you away from certain, people that's going to bring a lot of negative energy around you. And I don't know, man. It seemed like it all started with Pop Smoke. You remember Pop Smoke a few years back? He got murdered in L.A.
okay, yeah, I'm
Yeah,
familiar with the artist.
yeah, he was a pop artist. I think he was independent too. But some guys, some gang members in L.A. robbed him and then murdered him while he was at the in his hotel, or maybe in some type of condominium that he was staying
Mm,
in. And he should have had a security detail with him that would prevent people from doing that to him. But I don't know. I guess he thought that he was sturdy enough, as the young people like to say, sturdy enough to walk out there dolo and be flashing hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of jewelry and stuff.
yeah, yeah, you should never do something like that. I mean, I don't care who you are. You can be thorough, whatever, but you should never, be flashing. Especially if you're gonna be in a bad neighborhood. You don't have to be in a bad neighborhood because cats gonna come looking for you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, yeah. A lot of these people don't sit around, have nothing to do with themselves. They'll have nothing going on. They'll just say, "Hey, let's go out and rob somebody." Yeah,
Right. And we know some people are simply professional criminals. That is a reality.
right.
So, you got cats out here, they stick up kids, right? If you give them a chance, they'll take it. So that's
Yeah,
something.
take all this jewelry and then go get high with the jewelry they stole or something.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Something to consider. So, all right, family. Anyone else tap in, be part of the conversation. We're discussing, is hip hop dead? We're discussing the viability of hip hop. So definitely want to hear from you all. be part of the conversation. We're here with Mr. Sandman from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Some people call it Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, but we're not going to tap into that type of negative user imagery. But definitely tap in and be part of the conversation. Some people feel like they're untouchable. Absolutely. Regarding, of course, what we're discussing, the economic viability of hip hop. And we're here with Mr. Sandman, who is the long-suffering Penn State Nittany Lion football fan. Doesn't have much to root for, but hey, that's what happens when you're born in the wrong state, my man.
Yeah, man. Hey, that's hey. Still, probably more people know who Penn State is than Ohio State, though.
Get out of here, please stop it. The biggest brand is Ohio State football. I could Google this. The biggest. All right, here we go. I'm gonna Google this. You lost your mind. What is the biggest brand? College football.
Can't be Ohio State.
They said Texas and Ohio State.
What?
Yeah.
I can see Texas.
Yeah, come on, man. Come on, B. Are you serious? Penn State. Let me see where Penn State is at on the list.
I would say like a Notre Dame, maybe. Everybody know who Notre Dame is.
They got you at 11. They got you at 11, man. Stop it.
Yeah, be at 11 after so many bad seasons. You can't go wrong with a fresh. You can't go wrong with some fresh Navy Blues or the Penn State Nittany Lion. What did you say?
Y'all made the playoff last year. I said y'all made the playoff last year.
Yeah.
So
we still rebounding. Man, it's been a long rebound for us, but
they got you at 11, number 11.
When it comes to merchandise sales.
That got more to do with old St. Nick than right. Anything what's going on now. But Ohio State, we're the biggest brand. You know that. It's the reason why we're called the reigning defending national champions, the number one team in the country, and the Ohio State University. You know what it is.
Yeah, man, it's a great football university.
You need to come on over to us, man.
Oh no, I can't do that.
You need to come on over, man.
That's like being a snitch or something.
Nah, it ain't. I'm trying to help you out, Playboy. We're trying to help you out. You know what I'm saying? Come on over and we get you right, man. Come on over here, be a winner.
Nah, I can't do it. I mean, if it ain't Penn State, shoot, I would go to I go to a team from the SEC before I go to Ohio State.
I was like that.
I mean, come on. I mean, I give it to you, Ohio State. They great. I mean, come on.
Okay.
Ohio State. I can't do Ohio.
Well, we're trying to help you out, though. I'm trying to help you become him. You know what I'm saying? Right now you're them. I'm trying to help you become him.
Hey man, I don't know. I'd be the only Ohio State fan in this area.
Well, you got a point there. For your own safety, you may not want to do that.
Yeah. About that.
Yeah, you're right. Okay. No doubt. Any final thoughts, brother? Final thoughts before we close out.
Yeah, just my final thoughts is we gotta find a way for these young people to and I think people like you and what you're doing is positive for the culture, but we gotta find a way to get these young people to ingest something deeper into the music other than just the trap stuff. Is that the trap music stuff is like kind of dumb. in my opinion. You know what I mean? We got to add some more deeper topics, talk about some more real stuff back when we was talking about stuff back when we had like, a Tupac Shakur and all the other different artists that talked about, real subjects that's going on in our communities and in the world, you know what I mean? Real subjects. So, I mean, I'm not saying all music is like that, but
Right.
the whole,
But there needs to be some diversity or variety between. And I understand. We say the same thing when we talk about, a lot of the women in hip hop. Every song they make is about how much of a whore they are.
right.
At some point, it becomes redundant. Um, and I mean, you really become tone deaf after a while.
Right. And it's just, you know what I mean? It's like it's just not good music. You know what I mean? The lyrics is I mean, the thing about rap music is as a rapper, you don't have the talent to harmonize and sing like a vocalist, like an R&B singer or a soul singer or even a country music singer. You can't sing. The
Mm-hmm.
only true talent that you have is your ability to compose interesting lyrics, and you would think that these young people will put in more time to put together more in-depth, thoughtful lyrics that people can really digest and think about sometimes,
Right.
and they're not even putting in that much effort, and that's just a disappointing.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Uh,
so and they just need to read more and improve their vocabulary and just add different topics to talk about.
but you do know that's something they said Nas would do. He was an avid reader. Mr. K, what's going on? Good evening to you, brother. They said he was an avid reader and he would read a lot before starting an album so that he could expand his vocabulary and provide more depth to his lyrics.
Yeah, and Biggie used to act like a thug, but he's really like a little brainiac, little nerd, who might have
Yeah,
been integrated in the street life, but he had a broad vocabulary too.
right.
You know
Shout out to
his
Biggie.
line.
He was from he was of Jamaican. Uh, it was about Jamaican extraction. So definitely shout out to Notorious B.I.G. Biggie Smalls.
Right,
And he had bars for days too.
bars for days.
I am not familiar with the channel Dead End Hip Hop, but I have been watching those videos that you sent me today, Mr. K, and I watched the video of the brother who did the interview with Rock on the Rock Newman show as well. So I definitely appreciate you always providing me with that information. You said they give good content on hip hop. Right, very good, very good. All right, well, family, I appreciate everyone for tapping in. This was a rather brief show, but until next time, y'all know what to do. Always, always, always bet on black. Peace. Before you go, make sure you hit the subscribe and like button. Thank you for supporting the channel. And remember, here at Lumumba Speaks, we always bet on black. Peace.